This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co., monthly Japanese snack subscription boxes. Jiraiya was offered the position of Hokage 3 times, but turned it down every time. He was not suited for being in an office all day. He almost was a free spirit in a way and just preferred to live on the road, really. So instead of becoming Hokage, he was the Shadow Hokage. He contributed to the village from behind the scenes. Like his teacher and his student, he eventually sacrificed his life to save the village. He sacrificed his life on a stealth mission, which is not something the rest of the Hokage are accustomed to, except for someone like Kakashi. So this begs the question on how well each Hokage does in this Shadow Hokage role. This is the newest video in my What If vs. Battle Hybrid series. For videos like this, I usually take a battle and swap out one opponent with many others to gauge how well they would do in the original fighter's circumstances. I've actually done a video on how each Hokage would do if they replaced Tsunade during Pain's invasion of the Leaf Village. The circumstances for that scenario are vastly different from this one. In this scenario, the Hokages will have no help from others, and will also be fighting with no intel against one of the most unorthodox characters in the series. Battle intelligence will be very critical for the Hokages in this situation. On the other hand, Nagato will not be willing to use planetary devastation because he isn't willing to destroy the Rain Village. He can live to fight another day, considering that the paths of Pain are replaceable. Each Hokage will enter the Rain Village hoping to gather intel on Pain, and then leave without a trace. If Nagato does find them, then each Hokage does have the chance to flee if they can and want to. The first win condition is extracting the intel back to the Leaf. The second potential win condition is to survive an encounter with Pain. And the third potential win condition is to find Nagato and defeat him. Before I start, I just want to make clear which versions of these characters I'll be using. For Hiruzen, I'll be using old Hiruzen because we don't know exactly what he could do in his prime. For Kakashi, I'll be using War Arc Kakashi because I'm simply not familiar with Hokage Kakashi's power. That also kind of goes into Boruto territory, and I don't believe Boruto and Naruto should be scaled together. Finally, for Naruto, I'll be using the Sage Mode Naruto that fought Pain. Hokage Naruto is too powerful, obviously, so I feel like Sage Mode Naruto scales down nicely to make this more interesting. Now that everything has been set up, I'll start with War Arc Kakashi. Kakashi is the only one here that has been in the Anbu, so I imagine he's the best at gathering intel out of almost everyone here. The problem is that Pain has an almost foolproof sensory jutsu. Somehow Pain can control the rain in the Rain Village, and this allows for him to sense any intruders. Jiraiya was caught by Konan, and he used the transformation of jutsu to look like a rain shinobi. Jiraiya was able to get some intel on Pain before getting caught, but I don't see Kakashi having the same luck. Jiraiya was able to freely interrogate some shinobi he put in a small toad, but Kakashi can't isolate anyone away like that. So I expect for Konan to find him before he gets any intel. Pain didn't step in until Konan was defeated, so Kakashi is going to have to fight Konan first. Konan is a little unproven, but what she does have is enough firepower to kill Kakashi. One of her explosions blew off Obito's arm despite him mitigating it by using Kamui to suck it in. Kakashi doesn't have the durability of Obito, so if he gets hit by an attack like this, he's done for. Kakashi does have what potentially is her weakness, and that's fire style. Jiraiya used this once against her, and we saw it burn her paper. So any of her regular paper jutsu can be dodged or nullified with fire style. The only time we've seen her use paper bombs was when she tried to explode herself in order to take down Obito. That was a fight she prepared for, and she didn't even try to use paper bombs against Jiraiya. She may have just not had them prepared for this scenario, or she just didn't use them. So this is actually pretty favorable for Kakashi if she's not going to use paper bombs. I can see him putting Konan in a losing position after a while. The problem is that he's going to have to use some chakra in order to get Pain to intervene. He won't have to use something like Kamui, but a noticeable chunk of chakra will be gone once Pain steps in. Pain will start with just the animal pass, just like originally. Originally he used his chameleon to camouflage himself, but this won't work since Kakashi could see their chakra. Pain knows this, so he'll just start with some of his regular summons like rhinos and birds. Kakashi can deal with these decently. His lightning cable was able to cut through the reanimated Jinchuriki's version 2 states, so he could definitely do the same here. Once Jiraiya proved his ability to deal with the summons, Pain countered by using his dog summon. The dog summon splits into smaller dogs when hit by normal attacks, so Kakashi is not going to be able just to use lightning style against them. He'll have to resort to using Kamui in order to defeat him. I'm confident he can do this considering he almost Kamui'd the head off of the Ghetto Mazo. Size isn't the problem here, it's chakra output. Kakashi is going to be rather low after only fighting one path. At this point in the fight, I feel like Kakashi will begin to press the offensive, and Pain will counter by summoning the human path and the Preta path. When Jiraiya tried to fight these three head on, he didn't have any luck and ended up having to retreat. He was able to use his genjutsu in order to defeat them, but Kakashi doesn't have any trump card like that. I'll give it to Kakashi that he's smarter than Jiraiya, but even if he found out some way to defeat these three, they'll just be revived and Pain will come back with 6 pass this time. He wouldn't even have the chakra to keep going if it got to that point. What Kakashi does potentially have is an escape route. He learned how to use Kamui to teleport himself during the war arc, but this was after Obito had taken him to that dimension. So I'm not sure if I should be giving Kakashi that knowledge in this situation or not. On the other hand, in a losing situation, Kakashi may just try to use Kamui on himself as a Hail Mary. He'd have nothing to lose, and he might have already hypothesized that he could go back and forth between the dimensions. I'll give Kakashi the benefit of the doubt here and say he escapes with decent intel to bring back to the village. Next is Tsunade. Tsunade doesn't have any way to go undetected, so Konan confronts her. Konan couldn't really keep up speed-wise with Jiraiya, so I would favor Tsunade in this aspect here. Jiraiya was able to use oil in order to prevent Konan from dispersing, though. Konan may be able to use her ability to disperse to become slippery, but this is a losing battle for her. Eventually, Tsunade is going to land a hit. The animal path will take over, but regular summons won't work. Tsunade was able to fight against Madara's full-body Susanos, and she defeated Manda using Gamabunta's sword. The problem for Tsunade is that she doesn't have sensory abilities like Kakashi, so Pain can just use his chameleon this time. Jiraiya dealt with this by casting a sensory barrier, but Tsunade has no sensory abilities. I think Pain still uses his dog summon in this situation because he's safe while invisible and can force Tsunade to show her hand. The dog summon is a problem for Tsunade because she can't just overpower it or it'll just split. The only thing she can do in the situation is use Katsuyu. Considering that Jiraiya's Toad summon struggled here, Katsuyu should do worse in regular combat. What she can use though is her acid, which may work considering that Amaterasu worked on the dog summon. Since acid has a continuous burning effect, it will just keep burning the dog summon until it splits off. Katsuyu may have little attack potency, but she has a great defense just like the dog summon. Mondo couldn't even kill her because she just ended up splitting into it like 1,000 pieces. She can do the same here if need be and have all the smaller parts of her spray acid on the dog summon, and they could even overwhelm the dog through numbers if need be. So Tsunade can deal with a dog summon, but the chameleon summon is still undetectable. Pain will have to decide what he wants to do next because he's not letting her go back to the Leaf Village with her intel. I'm not completely sure on if the chameleon summon is even an offensive summon. Nagato used it while reanimated, but instead of using it for a sneak attack, he almighty pushed instead. I doubt he wants to give up his camouflage, so he'll just summon the other paths instead. Originally, he summoned the human and Preta path, but the Preta path is not very useful here since Tsunade doesn't have anything that can be absorbed. I'll use the Asura path instead, as the Naraka path and Diva path are his trump cards. It's going to be hard for these three to make significant progress against Tsunade though. She can punch hard enough to crack Madara's Susanoo ribcage, so these three can't afford to get hit by her. Almost every path of Pain was killed by Rasengan, but War Arc Naruto's massive Rasengan was unable to damage Madara's Susanoo ribcage like Tsunade did. On the flip side, Tsunade can heal through virtually any wound as long as she doesn't lose a limb or something. The Asura path does have explosives, but otherwise this team doesn't have much offense outside of Taijutsu. Jiraiya decided to retreat because it was 3-on-1, but Tsunade is much bolder in battle and has no strategy to create. I like her chances here because her opponents don't really have a win condition here. She can take whatever is dished out, but these paths of Pain are one hit away from being destroyed. It might be a long fight, but this is something I see Tsunade eventually pulling out. The problem for her is that when she leaves, the Naraka path will revive the other three, and all 6 paths will appear. At this point, Tsunade will have been worn down some, and Taijutsu will be twice as hard for her in a 6v1 situation. The Diva path can also punish her pretty badly here. We saw in her fight against Madara that she does indeed have a limit, considering that she briefly passed out at one point. Eventually, Tsunade will run out of stamina and be killed by the 6 paths of Pain. However, at some point in the fight, Katsuyu will be able to unsummon herself and bring back a lot of intel for the Leaf Village. So Tsunade clears the first wing condition and also manages to push Pain into using 6 paths. So before I continue this video any further, I just want to talk about this video's sponsors being Tokyo Treat and Sakuraku. They're both Japanese snack monthly subscription boxes, and both of these companies are from Japan, so these are totally 100% authentic. Tokyo Treat contains more modern and contemporary Japanese snacks, while Sakuraku contains more traditional Japanese snacks. Actually, for Sakuraku, they actually get local businesses to give them the handmade snacks that they make, and then they put these in their subscription boxes. And then also, both these subscription boxes are different every month, and they also typically follow a theme. So this month's theme for Tokyo Treat is Sakura Picnic. And so that just has to deal with sakura cherry blossoms in spring. So a lot of the snacks that are in this box this month are limited edition and special for Sakura. And then for Sakuraku, the theme for this month is matcha and mochi, but they also have some Sakura themed snacks in there as well. So these two companies' mission is basically just give you like a taste of Japan, really, but not only just give you a taste of like contemporary Japanese snacks and also traditional Japanese snacks. They're actually cultural booklets that come with each box that kind of explain like the history of each snack, really. So when you first actually open this up, the first thing you see is the cultural booklet, and it basically just gives you like some background on like the culture and the history behind this. So this is just talking about like picnics that you typically take during this time, right? And then it also just gives you like a background on each of one of the snacks, and then it also tells you like what are some of the allergens that are in it, and then also like if it's suitable for vegetarians to eat, which is very useful. And there's a lot of different types of snacks to be had here. There's definitely a lot of variety here. And then of course the same is true for the Sakuraku box. Don't forget to read right to left. And then this one actually goes even more in depth into like the history and culture surrounding like these more traditional Japanese snacks, which is a very interesting read. Kind of lets you know like how these things are made and all as well, which is very cool. And then it also brings up like the allergens if it's vegetarian friendly. And like I said earlier, this month's theme is Sakura, so a lot of the snacks are centered around that, and they're limited edition as well. So like here, and then you have like Sakura candy, you have like Kit Kats that are banana caramel, right? And then you have like Sakura themed marshmallows, and that's for the Tokyo Treat side of things. And then if you look at like the Sakuraku side of things, you have, it's more focused around teas, like with matcha is a tea. You also have a Sakura themed sencha, which is also like a herbal tea. And these are just some of the other exclusives that come with this month. And like if you actually try this stuff, it's actually really good. Like this is kind of like a hard lifesaver. Yeah, and it definitely tastes good, and you can kind of tell like it has like a fruity taste, kind of like, and you can like tell you can taste the theme in the snack, really. And then of course with Sakuraku being focused this month on matcha and mochi, it's mostly about tea. So like this is like a cake that you would typically eat with the teas that you brew with this. And it tastes great. Like it kind of tastes, I don't even know, it's very unique to anything I've really ever tasted, but it definitely tastes great. And I think like with Sakuraku, it's less sugary based. So if you're not like a big sweet tooth, like you can still have a lot of good tasting like treats and teas that aren't as sugary as like Tokyo Treat. Or if you like that type of stuff, then Tokyo Treat would be up your alley. Of course, not literally everything in the box is focused on the month's theme, so there's plenty of like other snacks that are just generally good, like these Pringles. So, and I didn't want to like chew into the mic or anything, but these Pringles definitely taste good. Like not too salty, but like once again, it's just like a very innovative, unique taste that I've never really tasted. So I would definitely highly recommend like either of these boxes or even both. And there's going to be links in the descriptions to sign up to get the boxes, and there's also going to be a code special to my channel for you to get $5 off your first purchase with this company. Next is Hiruzen. Hiruzen also has no way to go undetected, so Conan will find him before he gathers any intel. Like Jiraiya, Hiruzen should be able to use fire style and his superior speed in order to subdue Conan. The animal path will have to step in, and it will start by using its camouflage. The problem for Pain is that Hiruzen has an acute sense of smell and could probably smell the chameleon if he got close enough. He was able to sniff out Hashirama and Tobirama while in the darkness genjutsu after all. Hiruzen can defeat the regular summons by mainly using the monkey stick. It was strong enough to cut through large sections of the god tree, and in the anime it could even push back the Ninetales. The dog summon won't be as easy to deal with though. He actually has no way to kill them, so instead he's going to have to escape them or trap them. Originally, Jiraiya escaped thanks to Mr. Gamaken's jumping ability, but Hiruzen can't outjump this summon. It's possible he could use some type of earth style to trap them, but that might not be strong enough to contain them. Either way, I expect for Hiruzen to attack the animal path in this situation. Even if he can't deal with the dog summon, he can surprise attack the chameleon since Pain won't know about his sense of smell. However Hiruzen chooses to attack, will end up killing the chameleon summon, leaving the animal path vulnerable. At this point of the fight, I more lean towards the dog summons being dealt with, so the animal path will summon 2 other paths as a response to Hiruzen's counteroffensive. The Preda path and the human path will appear just like originally. Hiruzen is far smarter than Jiraiya, so he'll be able to read Pain faster than him. The problem for Hiruzen is fatigue, as we saw in many moments where Hiruzen needed to catch his breath when he fought Orochimaru. The Preda path is going to nullify most of his ninjutsu, and relying on the monkey stick here will exhaust Hiruzen. I see Hiruzen choosing to retreat similar to how Jiraiya did, in order to think of a new strategy. Hiruzen may not have a trump card like the auditory Genjutsu Ma and Pa used, but Hiruzen is far smarter than Jiraiya. If Jiraiya can set something up, then Hiruzen can as well. For example, using something like a mud wall can separate the paths from each other in order to make them vulnerable. I'm confident that Hiruzen can single out either the Preda path or the animal path and quickly destroy them. If the animal path is destroyed, Pain loses all of its offense, and if the Preda path is destroyed, it loses all of its defense. After that, a 2v1 will be much more manageable, and Hiruzen will be able to finish them off. Of course, just like originally, Pain will return with all 6 paths, and Hiruzen will be in a bad position. He'll be getting tired at this point, and dealing with all 6 won't be feasible. If Jiraiya could only kill one path in this situation, I highly doubt Hiruzen could kill them all, including the Diva path. However, Enma can unsummon himself and bring back intel for the Hidden Leaf Village. So Hiruzen only clears the first wing edition, and manages to push Pain into using 6 paths. Next is Sage Mode Naruto. Because Naruto prepared 2 Sage Mode Shadow Clones before his fight against Pain, I'll be giving him 2 here as well. The other thing I should address is that we've never seen him summon Ma or Pa, so he won't be doing it here. We never even saw him sign a summoning contract with them. Even besides that, Jiraiya took forever to summon them, so clearly it is a special type of summoning that I doubt Naruto knows. One more thing I should mention is that Pain will be trying to kill Naruto here, since those were the circumstances Jiraiya was under. Last thing I should note is that Naruto will not enter the village in Sage Mode, as he won't want to stand out. Anyways, Naruto has no way to hide either, so Conan will attempt to attack him. Even in base, Naruto should be able to push Conan hard enough that Pain steps in to replace her. Pain will use his chameleon summon to hide, and use summons to attack Naruto. These summons will be time consuming for Naruto to deal with in base, and he's going to be eager to sense where the animal path is hiding. So he'll use the Sage Mode Shadow Clone now and easily deal with a summon just like originally. Once he does that, he'll be able to sense the chameleon summon without Pain knowing it. This allows for Naruto to surprise attack it with a massive Rasengan, killing it. Now that he's pushed the animal path into a vulnerable state, 2 more paths will have to be summoned. The Preda path and human path will appear. So how does Naruto handle this? Originally, Naruto used the Rasen Shuriken early against Pain, but that was because he was furious once he returned to the Leaf Village. In this situation, I would expect for Naruto to use Shadow Clones at first, but he can actually only use 3 at a time while in Sage Mode. He said this himself, and 3 isn't going to cut it here. Eventually, I see Naruto resorting to using the Rasen Shuriken early, only to discover that the Preda path can absorb it. This is okay though, as Naruto was able to take down the 5 lesser paths down originally, with the help of his toads and some useful intel. There's only 3 around this time, so I think Naruto can still get things done here without resorting to using another Rasen Shuriken. Naruto will begin to leave after that, but as we know, the Naraka path will revive the destroyed paths of Pain. I didn't really bring this up with the previous Hokage because they were already screwed, but the Asura Path surprise attack blew off Jiraiya's arm. It's on Ma and Pa for letting their guard down and not sensing the other Pain, so I'm not sure if Naruto would mess up here as well. Even if we highball him here and say he isn't caught off guard, he's not in a favorable position. Naruto was able to take down the 5 lesser paths before being subdued by the Diva path, but in this situation the Diva path is willing to kill him. He only spared Naruto when he pinned Naruto because it was the Ninetales host. In this situation, I made it so that Pain would try to kill Naruto, since that was the condition Jiraiya was under. It's possible Naruto used a summon somewhere during the battle, but he wouldn't have used them enough for them to be able to share much intel with the village. Even though Naruto pushes Pain into using the 6 paths, he fails all win conditions since he can't bring back any useful intel for the village. Next is Tobirama. One thing I should note is that Tobirama can only use Tandem Paper Bomb while in Edo Tensei. He says that it's an Edo Tensei jutsu, and since this is a forbidden jutsu, he won't be using it. Anyway, Tobirama has no way to conceal himself either, so he'll be confronted by Conan quickly. I don't think water style has much effect on Conan's paper, but Tobirama is leagues above Conan anyway. He's reacted to far faster opponent center, so it won't be long until the animal path has to step in. The animal path will try to go invisible, but this won't work on Tobirama because he is a sensory type. Pain won't know this, so Tobirama will just attack the chameleon summon while its guard is down. As we know, the added pressure will force the animal path into summoning 2 more paths. In this situation, Jiraiya struggled because he was having a hard time deciphering how the paths of pain work, but Tobirama is far smarter than Jiraiya. It won't be long until Tobirama figures out they all have different abilities and share the same eyesight. I would expect for Tobirama to be aggressive here, but I also expect for the animal summon to use the dog summon here since it did it earlier. Tobirama has no way to deal with a dog summon, so I expect for him just to flee from it just like Jiraiya did. He can use his flying Raijin here to boost his speed, and also possibly trick the dogs. Using shadow clones to trick the dog summon would be very useful here. Either way, this gives Tobirama a chance to regroup and create a strategy just like Jiraiya did. Like I said, Tobirama is far more intelligent than Jiraiya, so he can definitely figure out a way to win here. Maybe not beat all 3 at once, but just taking out the animal path or predator path first will make the matchup winnable for him. If Jiraiya can do this, then Tobirama definitely can as well. And he won't be surprised by the austere path either. Mater had said that Tobirama was known as someone who attacked opponents right after they thought they had won. There's no way he would fall for his own trick here, and when we've seen him fight, he's always been highly alert at all times, so it would be uncharacteristic for him to let his guard down here. However, the austere path can still cause destruction in the surrounding area that allows for the Naraka path to secretly revive everybody. I expect for Tobirama to surmise that one of the new paths can fix broken paths. It also shouldn't take long for him to deduce which one it is, since the Diva path and austere path will show their abilities early on. This is still a highly difficult situation for him regardless. He'll have already shown Flying Raijin and he won't know about the Diva path's abilities at first. Sage Bernard took it to defeat 5 paths of pain, but this is while the Diva path was unable to use its power. If the Diva path is constantly almighty pushing and pulling Tobirama, it's going to make it harder for him to fight the weaker paths. I also expect for Tobirama to struggle against the Diva path. I know he has Flying Raijin, but like I've said many times on this channel, Tobirama only uses it for offensive purposes. Minato has shown many times that he's willing to teleport as a defensive tactic, and that he's willing to teleport as an offensive tactic as well. When we saw Tobirama teleport, it was always to attack, and he also doesn't use it as liberally as Minato. So if Tobirama is almighty push, I don't expect him just to teleport elsewhere to break his fall. When it comes to the almighty pull, it's possible he could try to use Flying Raijin Slice, but like I said earlier, Tobirama will have at least revealed his ability to teleport to marks by now. He also probably would have Flying Raijin sliced one of the paths too. So trying to do this against the Diva path probably won't work since the surprise element is not here. Tobirama has no realistic path to victory in this fight, so I lean towards Pain winning here. Even though Tobirama pushes Pain into using 6 paths, he fails all win conditions because he can't bring back any intel to the Leaf Village. He wouldn't just teleport away to retreat either, as we didn't see him do this when he lost to Kinkaku and Gigaku. Next is Minato. Like the others, Minato has no way to conceal his presence, so Conan will confront him. I think everybody already knows that Minato is faster than Conan, and just on a different level than her, so it won't be long until the animal path steps in. What many don't know about Minato is that he actually has strong sensory abilities. When he was first reanimated, he was able to sense Naruto chakra from countries away, so we should be able to sense the invisible chameleon here. I would expect for him to summon Gamabunta in order to combat the first summon that comes his way. After that, he can just tell Bunta where the invisible summon is so that he can destroy it. After that, the dog summon might make an appearance, but Gamabunta could just jump away from it like Mr. Gamaken did originally. Or Minato could teleport the dog summon elsewhere too. Either way, the animal path will become vulnerable and will resort to summoning the austere path and the animal path. I think Nagato chooses the austere path this time because Minato will not have shown anything that can be absorbed by the predator path up to this point. I also think Nagato will want to use it to help the animal path fight Gamabunta as well. Mr. Gamaken struggled a bit with the non-stop summons, so I think that paired with some of the projectiles from the austere path will be too much for him to overcome. As for Minato, he'll be fighting the Asura path and the human path at the same time. I think he's definitely capable of taking these two out, considering that Sage Naruto took the 5 lesser paths of pain out. Once he's done that, only the animal path will be left, which will also not be hard for him to take out. At this point, Minato will begin to walk away, but as we know, Nagato will respond by reviving the 3 broken paths and bringing 3 more paths to the fight. Like I said with Tobirama, I don't expect for Minato to get hit with a surprise attack here. He's a cautious and an alert fighter. Obito tried to sneak up on him once during their fight, but failed to surprise Minato. So I think Minato is fine here. He does need to fight all 6 paths at one time, though. We know Minato can take down the 5 lesser paths of pain, but what about the Diva path without planetary devastation? When it comes to the almighty pulls and almighty pushes, he has a good counter for them. We've seen in several fights he likes to spread his kunai everywhere so that he can teleport anywhere on the battlefield. When the Diva Path motions to push or pull, he can just teleport away from his line of sight. If Minato does get pushed or pulled, he could also just teleport in order to get out of harm's way. This greatly reduces the Diva Path's effectiveness. If you want to look at each path individually, they also are not that effective here, and the Animal Path can be countered by Minato's other Toad summons. The Preta Path doesn't have any projectile jutsus to absorb, and the Human Path can't grab Minato for long enough in order to rip out of his soul. The Asura Path's weapons aren't fast enough to hit Minato. The Naraka Path's healing power will be quickly deduced by Minato since it'll be the only path not attacking, and I already explained why the Diva Path is less effective here. Minato has his hands full, but this is a fight he can win. He handily beat Obito, and many consider Obito to be stronger than Pain. The Diva Path was defeated by Naruto's Rasengan, so Minato's will work here as well. Pain doesn't have as nearly as viable paths to victory as Minato, so this is why I'm taking Minato here. The battle doesn't end here though. Jiraiya was able to figure out that Pain was being controlled by Nagato because he recognized every single path before they were a path of pain. Minato won't know them, but he is much smarter than Jiraiya. It would seem odd to him that they all share the Rinnegan and share the same eyesight. Even if he doesn't figure this out, I expect for Minato to use his sensory abilities to see if any other paths are coming for him. The paths of pain are controlled by Nagato's chakra, so once Minato searches, he'll find Nagato's chakra signature. He'll go to it, and an immobile Nagato won't be able to defend himself here, meaning both Nagato and Konan are killed as a result. This means Minato clears every single wing edition and keeps his life. Last is Hashirama. I shouldn't have to convince you that Hashirama wins this one, as everyone agrees that Hashirama is the tier above Pain. I mean, he defeated the full Nine Tails with a Susanoo wrapped around it, while the Diva Path couldn't contain half of the Nine Tails. However, Hashirama won't think to find the one controlling Pain, like Minato, nor does he have sensory abilities in base. Hashirama doesn't have to be pushed to use Sage Mode here, so he won't even know where to find Nagato if he looks. This means he only clears 2 wing editions out of the 3. This was a strange what-if versus battle hybrid, considering the order of how well everyone did. Minato did better than Hashirama, and the other 5 had differing levels of success. Naruto and Tobirama completely failed because they didn't have a summon to bring back intel. Kakashi was the only one of these 5 to survive because he could teleport away to another dimension. I greatly enjoyed writing this what-if versus battle hybrid because of how strange the outcomes were. If you have any ideas for videos like this, comment them down below. If you come up with an idea I haven't, I'll shout you out if I turn it into a video. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. Comment something if you have something to say. And thank y'all for watching. I guess I'll see y'all next time.